The echo of silence. What would you do if silence became your worst enemy? I never thought I'd be afraid of quiet, but there I was, standing in my living room at 3 a.m., listening to the deafening absence of Marcus's laughter. The house felt like a tomb, every corner holding memories that refused to fade, every shadow whispering his name. Marcus had been gone for 2 years. 2 years of learning how to breathe without him, how to sleep in a bed that felt ocean-wide, how to cook for one when every recipe had been made for two. The grief counselor said it would get easier, but she lied. Some nights, I swear I could still hear his footsteps in the hallway or catch the scent of his cologne lingering in our bedroom. Have you ever felt so alone that you'd do anything, absolutely anything, just to feel connected again? That's when the idea hit me. A dog. I'd never been an animal person. That was Marcus's thing. But maybe, just maybe, a companion could fill the gaping void in my chest. The local shelter was a symphony of barking and whining, but one kennel stood silent. Inside sat the most unremarkable dog I'd ever seen. Scruffy brown fur, mismatched eyes, and an expression that seemed almost knowing. The nameplate read Shadow. When our eyes met, something shifted. He didn't jump or wag his tail like the others. He simply tilted his head, studying me as if he could see straight through to my wounded soul. Then, without warning, he pressed his nose against the cage bars, a silent plea that broke something inside me. What do you think draws us to certain animals? Is it instinct or something deeper? Before I knew it, Shadow was padding through my front door, his claws clicking against the hardwood floors Marcus had installed. He explored every room methodically, as if mapping out his new territory. I followed behind, my heart heavy with hope and hesitation. That first night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the sadness to creep in like it always did, but it didn't. Instead, I felt a weight at my feet. Shadow curled up like a guardian, his breathing steady and grounding. For the first time in months, I didn't cry myself to sleep. Days turned into weeks. Shadow and I fell into a rhythm. Morning walks, shared meals, and evenings on the couch. He never barked and never begged. He was simply a constant presence, a silent witness to my pain and, slowly, my healing. But then, strange things started to happen. One night, I woke to find Shadow standing at the foot of the bed, ears perked and eyes locked on the doorway. I followed his gaze. There was nothing there, just darkness, yet he didn't move. He stayed alert for hours, like he was protecting me from something I couldn't see. Then came the objects. Marcus's old flannel shirt, missing for months, suddenly appeared on the hallway floor. A photo of us from our honeymoon fell from the wall, unshattered as if gently placed. Shadow was always nearby when these things happened, watching me with those mismatched eyes. Was it grief playing tricks on me, or something else entirely? One evening, I whispered into the air, "Are you here, Marcus?" My voice cracked, fragile and foolish. Shadow stood up, walked to the empty corner of the room, and sat. He tilted his head, just like he had in the shelter, staring into space. And then he wagged his tail. I began to talk to Marcus more often after that, quietly, when no one could hear. In the kitchen while making coffee, or on our evening walks through the woods, I'd murmur memories, questions, and apologies. And every time, Shadow would react, ears twitching, body alert, his tail thumping when I said Marcus's name. I started sleeping better, smiling, and even laughing sometimes. My sister noticed it on one of her visits. "You seem lighter," she said, stirring sugar into her tea. I glanced at Shadow curled at my feet. "I guess I'm not as alone as I thought," I replied. Part of me feared I was losing my mind, until the night the fire alarm went off. It was 3 a.m. I jolted awake to Shadow barking, loud, frantic, and urgent. Smoke snaked through the hallway from a forgotten candle. I stumbled out, disoriented and choking. Shadow grabbed the sleeve of my shirt with his teeth and pulled hard, leading me through the thick haze and out onto the porch. The fire didn't spread far. The firefighter said it was lucky I got out in time, but I knew it wasn't luck. It was him. It was Marcus. Over time, Shadow and I became inseparable. People in town began to notice. "There's something about that dog," Mrs. Halverson from the bakery said one morning. "It's like he knows things, sees right through you." I just smiled. She had no idea how right she was. Every Sunday, we'd visit Marcus's grave. I'd sit and talk while Shadow lay beside me, calm as ever. I still miss you, I'd whisper. Shadow would nudge my hand, his eyes full of knowing. It wasn't the same as before. It never could be, but it was something new, something healing. I started living again. Not because the pain was gone, but because Marcus had found a way back. In this world of chaos and loss, some bonds defy explanation. Some stories aren't meant to make sense, they're meant to be felt. And I felt him every day through the rustle of leaves, the steady rhythm of paws on the earth, and through a dog's loyal gaze that saw my soul and never looked away. One evening, as the sun dipped below the hills, casting a golden hue over the porch, I sat with Shadow at my feet. The silence was soft, almost sacred, and then, without warning, Shadow lifted his head and stared into the horizon. "What is it, boy?" I asked gently. He didn't bark or move. He just stared, eyes locked on something I couldn't see. And then I heard it, a laugh. Faint, warm, and unmistakable. Marcus's laugh. Tears welled up instantly, but I didn't cry out. I just listened as the wind carried that sound to me like a gift. Shadow nudged my hand again. I looked down, and for a second, just a breath, I saw it. Not just Shadow's eyes, but Marcus alive in him, full of light and love, and that quiet mischief that used to drive me crazy and make me fall in love 1,000 times over. It was then knew disvaste about gos or magic. It was about love enduring, unshakable love, the kind that refuses to be buried. After that night, in no longer questione the bond between us, Shadow became more than a companion. He was my memory keeper, my daily reminder that grief does not erase love, it transforms it. He did follow me around the garden where Marcus used to plant beautiful flowers just to see me smile. He did rest his head on my lap when he read old letters he still could not to throw away. And sometimes, when he played that song Marcus used to while cooking, Shadow would tilt his head and softly whine, as if remembering too. People say dogs don't understand, that they don't grieve like we do. But Shadow did. In every key moment and every silent comfort, he held the weight of what was lost right beside me. And in doing so, he helped me carry it. Years passed, and the sharp edges of pain softened. I still missed Marcus with every beat of my heart, but the ash had changed. It no longer drowned me, it became part of me, like the scar from a yelled wound. Shadow aged beside me. His scruff for turned silver around the muesli. His pace slowed, and his eyes, though tired, never stopped watching me with that same quiet devotion. One winter morning, I found him curled by the fireplace, breathing slow and shallow. I knelt beside him, whispering stories of the men we both loved, of the nights we survived, and of the memories we held. He looked at me with those soft, knowing eyes, and with a final sigh, he was gone. I buried Shadow beneath the old oak tree in the yard, the same tree Marcus had planted the year we bought the house. I placed his collar beside our photo of the tree of us, Marcus, Shadow, and me. The house was silent now, but not empty. It held echoes. Footsteps down the hall, a low bark in my dreams, and a loud that lingered on the porch. And then, one spring morning, I heard it. A soft bark from beyond the fence. I stepped outside and found a moody pup staring up at me, wagging its tail, eyes wide with mischief and wonder. I didn't know where it came from, but I smiled. Not because it felt the whole left behind, but because somehow it reminded me, love does not die, it transforms. I named him Echo, not because he replaced Shadow, but because he carried his memory in every bark, in every clumsy step, and in every gaze that said, I see your sorrow, and I'm here. Sometimes, yelling does not arrive with fanfare. Sometimes it cries into your lap covered in dirt, with paws too big for its body and eyes too full of trust. I still visit the grave beneath the oak tree. I still talk to Marcus when the stars blikavak. I still cry sometimes, but now I also log again, walk again, and hope again. Because in the silence that once suffocated me, a new heart echoes, and I finally understand. Grief is just love with no very to go, until it finds its way back home. What would you have done? Would you have broke shadow home, or would you have stayed in the silence? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.